I'm going to walk you through the process that I do when I'm diagnosing an AC concern. I've got 5 most common reasons why the AC may not be cooling. And before you go spend money on a compressor, let's go through these steps. Easy, anybody can do them. I'm James Noble. I've been doing this for 40 years, been doing AC for 40 years. So let's walk through these 5 steps. Let's get started. Now you may find that your belt is broke, but your compressor will turn. That's a wear item. It gets overlooked a lot. So obviously you can just go ahead and replace your belt and then try it from there. But if your compressor won't turn, your belt's broke, you know you're going to need a compressor. Now we need to know if our compressor is turning and the belt and all that stuff's on there. So you're going to come through here and I'm going to show you, this is our pulley, this is the outside, and this is our compressor hub. If you'll look, let me see if I can keep my hands and stuff out of the way. But you notice that'll turn. That's what we want to see engage. So I'm going to drop it down, go start it up, and we're going to put our compressor, we're going to put our AC on max. Now we'll give it a second. We should hear it engage. You good? Hear that click? Now just by listening to that, let me turn this off for a second, but listen. You're going to hear it increase and then drop back down. Hear it? That's telling me, just by experience, that this thing is low freon. Now if it's engaging, first off, when we turn the clutch, we know our compressor is not locked up. So it tells us we're good. If you get one and you can't turn that compressor, you're going to need a compressor plus some other components. But in my case, it kicked on and kicked off. That tells me the compressor is good. I can spin the compressor by hand. Next, I'm going to go to the low pressure cycling switch. I've still not hooked the engages up, but I'm going to go and disconnect our low pressure cycling switch. Now, if your vehicle, if it didn't engage, but you can turn the compressor, now you can go here because this is our first safeguard. If our freon is low, then this is going to stop it from turning our compressor on. Now I'm going to come to my low pressure cycling switch and I'm going to cross it over. We're going to start our engine and then we're going to jump it over. Now keep in mind, we already know because we moved the compressor that it's good. If your compressor won't move, don't go any further with this test. Now what we're doing now is we're listening for the click of the compressor engaging. I'm going to take and jump this across. And it's going to take just a second and the compressor should engage. Hear that? Now I'm going to let it hold it for just maybe 10 or 15 seconds. I know my compressor is staying engaged. Let me turn the car off. Now by doing this, we know because the compressor continued to stay engaged, I know it's either this low pressure cycling switch or it's low freon. Now our next step is to hook up a set of manifold gauges because we want to see if there's any refrigerant left in the system. Now hooking these gauges up tells me that it does have refrigerant in it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and run the engine and I'm looking to see that the high pressure side is not too high. Now after hooking your gauges up and you see you have no refrigerant, we want to check for a leak, and most time it's our condenser in the front. You can look at it and you'll see an oily spot, especially if you was driving it and you're on a trip and all of a sudden it started warming up, or if you let it set overnight, come out and all of a sudden your AC don't work, you've got no refrigerant in it, then most likely it's probably a rock has come up and hit your condenser. So that's the first place I would look. Now we're going to start it up. We're going to let our engine run for a few minutes with the AC on max, and we'll see what our gauges turn out to be. See what our low side's doing? That pressure cycling switch is gonna kick in and out somewhere around 15 psi on the low side, and then it won't kick back in until about 40. But this is showing that we are low over refrigerant. Look at our high side. If our high side was pegging out, then we would think that maybe we got an orifice tube or an expansion valve that's stopped up. Now we put a gauge on there. We know we have enough refrigerant in order to trip that switch. It's usually around 30 psi if it hadn't been ran, but ours was at 70, and that's usually close to your ambient temperature. So now we're going to test our switch and see if it operates. We're going to take our meter, put it on the lowest scale of our resistance, and we can check that switch. Anytime you use your test meter on resistance, you always want to check our leads and see what our lowest resistance is. We'll hold it there just for a few seconds. It's dropped down to 3, bumping on 2, so we know we're starting at 0.2 in ohms resistance. Now we want to go across the 2 leads without touching our contacts together, and we're looking for the lowest resistance possible. We'd like to have it, we want it at least under 1, but somewhere around 4 or 5 because we already started out with 2. Now because them pins is so small, you can actually go through, reconnect your connector and back probe it. But keep in mind, in some cases you're going to get a false reading unless you make sure your switch is off and your negative battery cable is disconnected. And when you do this, always remember to recheck your lowest settings, so anything you add to your meter, you want to get to 2, put them across, and see what your lowest scale is. Now if it failed any of these tests, then you could have a bad switch. Now remember, when you're using that bypass, you can't leave it in there because it could damage your compressor, cost you more money. We want to get it fixed, but we don't want to waste money doing it. Now if you followed all these steps and your compressor never engaged, could be a fuse or a relay. We'll go in and check that. Show you some quick checks on that next. Now underneath our relay cover, we've got a diagram of where our fuses and our relays are. I like to use a test light. Always want to make sure your test light works. And this is our AC relay. This is our AC fuse. I'll go across both posts and make sure I get the light. Now the switch doesn't have to be on for this to happen, but our fuse is good. Now these relays, 4 of these relays is the same. You need to check to see which one you can swap out, but you can swap a couple of these out and then see if your AC works. If it does, you know you got a bad relay. Now when swapping these relays out, pick one that's not crucial, because this one's our fuel pump. If you've got a bad relay, you swap it out, it's not going to start. But that's our AC. This is our horn. I would swap the horn and the AC, see if the horn blows and see if the AC then starts working. Now if your compressor is running, but you're still getting warm air, the problem could be weak compressor, clogged orifice tube, a stuck blend door, or other restrictions in your AC system. These problems require a little more diagnostics, but checking your system pressure will usually point you in the right direction. GM trucks and SUVs, most common problems are low refrigerant from a leak, bad low pressure switch, blown fuse, faulty relay, worn out compressor or clutch, or a blend door inside the dash. Here's my final thoughts on this video. I hope it helped you out. I hope it saved you some money, and if it did, hit me with some love on the like and subscribe. And if you got any questions, leave a comment. Be glad to comment back. Hell, I don't know what to say. But as always, I'm James Noble. I do thank you for watching.